When I saw the picture, my first thought was how beautiful she looked. My second was, why was she wearing a wedding dress? That moment still feels like a slow-motion film reel in my mind. It was a Tuesday afternoon, one of those days when everything feels predictably quiet, laundry humming, soup simmering, the same old rhythm that fills a mother's house when her only child is stepping into adulthood. I remember wiping my hands on a towel when my phone buzzed. A message from Maya, my daughter, my world, my reason for every hard decision I ever made. The photo popped up before I even unlocked the screen. She was glowing. That effortless kind of beauty that comes when you're too young to know the weight of your choices. White lace, a bouquet of sunflowers in her hand, and that tiny smirk I'd known since she was 3. The caption said nothing, just a hearty emoji. At first, I laughed, a breathy, confused sound. I thought maybe it was one of those TikTok trends, pretend bride or something. I even typed back, you look stunning. Whose wedding are you crashing? But she didn't reply. Not for hours. By the time she did, the humor had faded. Just trying on a dress for fun, Mom. Don't overthink it. Something about the message felt off. The heart, the tone, the way she avoided my question entirely. Still, I told myself not to pry. That's what mothers of grown daughters are supposed to do, right? Give space, trust, breathe. But the truth is, trust is hardest when you've spent your life protecting someone from the world. Maya was 19, a sophomore at community college, living with me since her dad and I separated years ago. I'd always thought we were close. We'd survived so much together, my long nights waitressing, her asthma hospital stays, the quiet Christmases where we made gifts out of paper and hope. But lately, she'd changed. Her phone never left her hand. She'd step outside to take calls, her voice soft and trembling, sometimes smiling, sometimes nearly whispering. When I asked who she was talking to, she'd shrug. Just friends, Mom, chill. She used to tell me everything. Now, her secret sat between us like fog. That night, I couldn't sleep. The photo burned behind my eyelids. The bouquet, the sunlight, the lace. It didn't look like a random fitting room snapshot. It looked real. The next morning, I made breakfast like nothing was wrong. Eggs, toast, and her favorite, strawberries. She came into the kitchen wearing that oversized hoodie she practically lived in. Hair tied up, looking half asleep. Morning, I said. Morning, she mumbled, reaching for her phone before even sitting down. Got your picture yesterday. I tried to sound casual. You planning a surprise wedding I should know about? She froze for just a second. A split second, but I saw it. The flicker of panic before she forced a laugh. Mom, stop, she said, rolling her eyes. It was just for fun. A friend works at a boutique. Chill. Her voice cracked just a little. She grabbed her toast, muttered something about being late, and left before I could ask another question. The silence that followed was heavy. You know that feeling when your instincts whisper something you don't want to hear? That was me, sitting at the table, staring at her empty plate. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. But there was something about that photo. The way her eyes looked, nervous, determined, secretive. Not a girl playing dress up. A woman hiding something. 2 days later, I found the first clue. She'd left her laptop open on the kitchen counter. I wasn't snooping, not at first. I just wanted to close it before the battery died. But when I did, the screen lit up. An email still open. It was from someone named Derek. The subject line read, "Can't wait to see you. Mrs. L. Mrs. L." My hands went cold. Maya's last name wasn't L, it was mine, Thompson. Derek, that name. It tugged at my memory like a loose thread. There was a Derek who lived a few streets over, early 40s, handyman type, always offering to help me fix things when my ex moved out. Too friendly, too smooth. I'd always felt something off about him. The kind of man who smiles just a second too long. I clicked on the message. My heart thudded in my ears. Hope you're sleeping okay. Don't stress about your mom. She'll understand someday. I'm proud of you, Mrs. L. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped the laptop. I stared at the words until they blurred. She wasn't Mrs. anything. She was my baby. When Maya came home that night, I tried to act normal. I told myself I'd wait, gather my thoughts before exploding. But the moment she walked through the door, I couldn't help it. Who's Derek? I asked. Her smile faltered. What? Don't lie to me, Maya. I saw the email. The color drained from her face. You went through my stuff. I didn't mean to, I said, my voice trembling. It was open. What's going on? Why is he calling you Mrs. anything? She froze, silent for so long that the clock ticking on the wall sounded deafening. Finally, she whispered, "Please don't freak out, Maya," I said, my chest tightening. "Tell me the truth." She looked up at me then, eyes wet, voice breaking. I married him, Mom. I remember the sound that escaped my mouth, half gasp, half sob. It wasn't anger, not yet. It was something deeper. Like the world I'd built around her had just cracked open, she went on, words spilling in a rush. We did it last month, at the courthouse. I didn't want to tell you because I knew you'd be mad. But he loves me, Mom. He really loves me. He's twice your age, I said, barely recognizing my own voice. He's my age, Maya. I don't care, she said, defiant but trembling. He treats me better than anyone ever has. You don't understand him. I stared at her, my own daughter, standing in my kitchen defending a man who had once tried to charm me with the same smooth voice, and in that moment, I realized, this wasn't rebellion. This was possession. She wasn't just hiding a marriage. She was trapped in something she thought was love. That night, long after she locked herself in her room, I sat on the couch staring into the dark, my mind racing through every warning sign I'd ignored. The secrecy, the fear, the dress, the photo, all of it made sense now. I didn't know how to save her, not yet, but I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I was going to get my daughter back. I didn't sleep that night. Every sound in the house felt louder. The pipes moaning, the clock ticking, the wind pressing against the windows. My mind kept replaying her words. I married him, Mom, 19 years old. Married to a man in his 40s. Every instinct inside me screamed that something was terribly wrong. But when the sun rose, I did what mothers do when their hearts are breaking. I made breakfast. Pancakes, extra syrup like when she was little. I hoped maybe food could fix what words couldn't. She didn't come down. By noon, her door was still locked. I knocked, Maya. No answer. I twisted the knob. Locked. Then I heard it. The faint hum of her voice. Whispering, laughing. I pressed my ear to the door. No, she doesn't know yet. I told her we'd tell her later. I love you too. My stomach dropped. The way she said it, I love you too, it didn't sound like a girl in love. It sounded like a girl afraid to stop saying it. I backed away quietly, sat at the kitchen table, and stared at the same cold plate of pancakes for hours. That afternoon, I called her college. The counselor, Mrs. Green, had known Maya since high school. Hi. This is Elaine Thompson, Maya's mother, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I just wanted to check in. She's been different lately. Has she been attending classes regularly? There was a pause. Then Mrs. Green's careful tone. Actually, not for the past few weeks. We tried reaching out. She said she was taking time off for personal reasons. My throat went dry. She didn't tell me that. I managed. I see, Mrs. Green said softly. Is everything all right at home? I wanted to say yes. I wanted to pretend everything was fine. But the truth lodged in my chest like a stone. No, I whispered. I think something's very wrong. That night, Maya came downstairs like nothing had happened, smiling, too bright. Hey, Mom, she said, plopping onto the couch beside me. Want to watch something? I looked at her. The same soft eyes she'd had as a child, now shadowed with secrets. Sure, I said quietly. She put on a movie and leaned against me like old times, but I could feel her heart beating too fast. Her phone buzzed twice, and each time, she flinched. When she got up to grab water, the screen lit up. I didn't mean to look, but my eyes caught it anyway. Can't wait for tonight. Don't forget what we talked about. Tonight. She came back, phone in hand, smiling too easily. I smiled back, pretending I hadn't seen a thing. Around 9 p.m. She said she was going for a walk in the dark. I asked, it's just around the block. I need fresh air. I wanted to stop her. I wanted to scream, don't you dare go to him. But I stayed silent because sometimes, to protect someone, you have to let them think they're free. She left, her footsteps fading down the driveway. I counted to 60, then another 60. Then grabbed my coat and followed. The night air was cold, sharp against my skin. I kept my distance, staying half hidden behind parked cars and trees. She walked faster than usual, checking her phone every few steps. Then she turned onto a side street, not toward the park, not toward any friend's house, toward Derek's. The porch light was on, and there he was, standing in the doorway, waiting for her. He wasn't surprised. He didn't look guilty. He smiled, like he owned her. She went inside without hesitation. I stood across the street, trembling, watching the door close behind them. My breath came out in clouds. Every part of me wanted to storm up there, pound on the door, drag her out by the hand. But I did in single quotes T. Instead, I took out my phone and snapped a photo. The house, the light, the time, because if love couldn't save her, evidence would. She came home close to midnight. I was sitting on the couch, lights off. When she walked in, she froze. Mom, she said, startled. You're still up? I nodded. How was your walk? Her eyes darted away. Fine, you went to his house. Her head snapped up. What? Don't lie to me, Maya. I saw you. For a second, I thought she'd break, cry, confess, anything. But instead, She folded her arms and said coldly, "You had no right to follow me. You're my daughter," I said, my voice shaking. "He's manipulating you. He's isolating you, making you lie." "Stop it," she shouted, her voice raw. "You don't know him." The sound echoed off the walls. For a moment, I saw the child she used to be, terrified, defensive, cornered. Then she whispered, "I love him." I swallowed hard. "Does he love you enough to keep you from your friends? From school? From your own mother?" She blinked, and for a flicker of a second I saw confusion, doubt, but then her face hardened again. "You'll never understand." She ran upstairs, door slamming so hard the walls shook. That night, I made a choice. If she wouldn't leave him, I would make sure the truth left him nowhere to hide. I started digging. Old neighborhood gossip, social media, court records, anything with his name. It didn't take long to find the first crack. 2 years ago, Derek had been married. His wife, Rachel, filed for divorce citing emotional manipulation and financial control. 3 months later, she moved across the state. Her social accounts disappeared not long after, and before Rachel, another woman, younger, the same pattern. My stomach turned. This wasn't love. This was a cycle. And Maya was the newest victim. The next morning, she left early for errands. I waited 5 minutes, then drove to his house. The gate was open. The blinds were drawn. When I knocked, he answered, wearing that same practiced smile I remembered from years ago. "Elaine," he said smoothly. "To what do I owe the pleasure?" I met his eyes. "You stay away from my daughter." He leaned against the doorframe, smirking. "Maya's an adult. She can make her own choices. She's 19, I said. "And you've groomed her." His smile faltered, just slightly. "Careful what you accuse people of. You think I'm scared of you?" I asked quietly. "I've survived worse men than you." He didn't answer, just closed the door slowly, the smirk returning. "Goodbye, Elaine." The lock clicked, but the look in his eyes told me everything. He wasn't planning to let her go. That night, when Maya didn't come home, I called the police. They said she was an adult, that unless she was missing or in danger, there was nothing they could do. But I knew, something deep in my gut whispered, if I don't act now, I'll lose her. And that's where everything changed, when love turned into war, because the next time I saw Derek, it wasn't at his house. It was when he showed up at my door, uninvited, smiling, holding a small envelope in his hand. The knock was soft, almost polite. If I hadn't been listening for it, I might have missed it. When I opened the door, Derek stood there, smiling like a man delivering good news. He wore that same leather jacket from years ago, the one Maya once said made him look like a movie star. He held out an envelope. From Maya, my hand trembled as I took it. "Where is she?" "She's safe," he said simply. "She asked me to give you this." I didn't open it. I just stared at him. His eyes were calm, like he enjoyed watching me squirm. "What did you do to her?" He chuckled softly. "You make it sound like I'm some kind of monster. Elaine, your daughter's a grown woman. She made her own choices. Maybe you should try respecting them." I stepped closer. "You think I don't know about the others? Rachel, Emily." For a flicker of a moment, something sharp flashed in his eyes. Then it was gone. "I think you should leave the past alone," he said quietly, "or you'll make things harder for her." And just like that, he turned and walked away, whistling. I closed the door and locked it. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped the envelope. Inside was a note, handwritten, shaky. "Mom, please stop. You're only making it worse. I'm fine. We're married. Please don't come between us." No signature, no emotion, just control disguised as consent. I knew she didn't write that freely. That night, I drove to Rachel's old address, the ex-wife. The house was empty, but a neighbor recognized her name. "She moved last year," the woman said. "I think she's with her sister now in Brighton." "Why?" I told her the truth, almost all of it. She sighed. "You're not the first mom to come asking about him. He's charming until he isn't." She scribbled a phone number on a scrap of paper. "Try this. She doesn't answer often, but maybe she'll talk to you." I called 3 times before Rachel picked up. Her voice was quiet, hesitant. "Yes, my name is Elaine Thompson," I said gently. "I believe you knew a man named Derek." Low silence, then a sigh. "Knew, unfortunately, yes. I think he's with my daughter now. She's 19. Her breath caught. "Oh God, please," I said softly. "I just need to know what I'm dealing with." Rachel hesitated. Then her voice dropped lower. "He's not just controlling. He's dangerous in ways that don't leave bruises. He isolates you. He makes you believe you can't survive without him. When you finally realize it's a lie, he threatens to ruin you." I closed my eyes. "How did you get out?" "I stopped telling him what I was doing," she said, "and I stopped trying to reason with him. You can't appeal to his heart. He doesn't have one. You have to take away what he values most, his image." Her words hit me like cold water. His image. That's what he used, his charm, his good reputation. Everyone thought Derek was the helpful neighbor, the man who mowed old Mrs. Callahan's lawn for free. If I could expose him, maybe I could free her. The next day, I gathered everything, the photo from that night, screenshots of messages, his past marriages, even Rachel's statement. Then I reached out to a local reporter I'd met through a community fundraiser years back. A young woman named Leela. She remembered me right away. Elaine, what's going on? I have a story, I said. But it's not about me. It's about a man who preys on young women. When I finished explaining, there was a long pause. Then Leela said quietly, "Do you have proof?" "Yes," I whispered. "I have more than enough. Then we'll make sure his name is known." But before the story could go live, something happened. Maya came home. It was early morning. I heard the door creak, soft footsteps. I rushed out, heart pounding. She looked broken, her eyes were swollen, her hair tangled, her clothes wrinkled. She didn't even flinch when I hugged her. "I can't do it anymore," she whispered. I held her tighter. "You don't have to," she cried for hours. Between sobs, the truth came out. How Derek had taken her phone, isolated her from her friends, convinced her to quit school. "He said if I ever left, he'd ruin you," she said through tears. "He said people would believe him over you." I wiped her face gently. "He's wrong." That afternoon, we went to the police together. Rachel's testimony and my evidence helped. It wasn't easy. The officer warned us that emotional abuse cases were tricky. But once the reporter published the story, everything changed. The article went viral locally. Local contractor accused of manipulating young women. Multiple victims speak out. His face was everywhere. News feeds, community pages, Facebook groups. Within days, he lost contracts, friends, reputation. He called me once from an unknown number. "You think you've won?" he said, his voice low, venomous. "I don't need to win," I said quietly. "I just need my daughter back." He hung up. And just like that, he disappeared from our lives. The months that followed were quiet. Too quiet at first. Maya barely spoke. Some days she stayed in bed until noon. Others, she'd cry in the shower so I wouldn't hear. But healing doesn't happen all at once. It comes in small pieces, like the first time she laughed again, watching a silly movie, or when she finally enrolled in night classes, saying, "I think I want to finish my degree." I never pushed. I just listened because love, I learned, isn't about protecting someone from every fall. It's about being there when they reach for your hand afterward. One evening, as we were cooking dinner together, she asked quietly, "Mom, do you hate me for what I did?" I turned off the stove. "Never. You made a mistake. But you also survived it." Tears welled in her eyes. "I don't know how to forgive myself." I smiled sadly. "That's okay. Sometimes forgiveness takes longer when you're the one who needs it most." She nodded slowly, then she reached into her pocket and pulled out something small, a ring. "I don't want it anymore," she said. "Can we throw it away?" I took it from her hand. The silver band felt cold, heavier than it looked. "Not yet," I said softly. "Let's keep it for now, so we remember what not to accept." She smiled faintly. "Okay." Weeks later, the story faded from headlines. Derek's name became a warning, not a threat. Maya started seeing a therapist. I started sleeping again. Our house felt lighter. Sometimes, I'd catch her looking out the window, quiet, thoughtful, and I'd wonder what she was thinking. Then she'd turn and smile, and I knew she was coming back to herself. To us. But healing isn't just survival. It's also reflection, because every night, as I turned off the lights and locked the doors, I'd think about how easily it all began, with a photo that looked like a joke, and how love, even when it hides behind lies, still leaves traces of truth for those who are willing to see them. When the story broke, it spread faster than I expected. The small-town gossip world turned mercilessly. Within hours, people who once waved at Derek now crossed the street to avoid him. The hardware store took down his business cards. His company's website vanished overnight. But with the justice came whispers. Some pitied Maya, others judged her. I overheard two women at the grocery store one morning, their voices hushed but sharp. "Did you hear about Elaine's daughter? Married that contractor, poor girl. But you know, she always seemed too trusting." I walked past them without a word. I didn't owe anyone an explanation. Still, the word stung, because that's the cruel part of survival. People want your story, but they don't want your truth. At home, Maya was slowly rebuilding. She'd started journaling again, sketching in the margins like she used to as a little girl. Sometimes, she'd leave the pages open on her desk, small fragments of healing. Today I didn't cry. I wore my favorite dress and felt like myself. "He doesn't own my laughter anymore." Those lines were worth more than any apology, but the world outside wasn't so kind. One afternoon, she came home early from a cafe job she'd just started. Her face was pale. They know, Mom, she said quietly. Someone recognized me from the article. I guided her to the couch. What happened? Nothing bad. They just looked at me differently, like I was fragile or stupid, I sighed. People love stories of redemption, just not the parts where it takes time. She leaned into me. Will it always be like this? No, I said softly. Someday, this will just be a part of your past, not your whole story. That night, we made tea and sat on the porch, something we hadn't done in years. The autumn air was cool, the kind that makes the stars look sharper. She sipped her tea and said quietly, Do you think he's still out there? Yes, I said, but he's no longer your story to carry. She nodded, letting out a small breath. Sometimes I still dream about him, like he's watching me. That's fear, I said gently. It lingers because it protected you once, but it'll fade. You'll see. A few weeks later, I received a call from Leela, the reporter. The article's getting attention, she said. Other women are coming forward. You might have saved more people than you realize. I didn't feel triumphant, just quiet relief, because justice isn't about headlines or praise. It's about breaking a chain before it can reach another person's life. Months passed. Slowly, the gossip turned to other things. Elections, potholes, the price of groceries. Derek became yesterday's story, but for us, the healing continued in quieter ways. We started cooking together again, laughing over burnt pancakes, teasing each other about who used too much salt. One Sunday, Maya came into my room holding her old guitar. She hadn't played in years. Can I? She asked, please. She sat on the edge of the bed and strummed a familiar tune, soft, hesitant at first. Then her voice joined, low and cracked but beautiful. It was the song she used to sing when she was 16. Before everything. By the time she finished, tears blurred my vision. That's the sound of healing, I whispered. She smiled through her own tears. That's the sound of us. Winter came quietly. The first snow fell early that year. One morning, I found her in the kitchen, making pancakes for me this time. Extra syrup? She asked, grinning. I laughed. Always. We sat together, the house filled with warmth again. For a moment, I thought about the first time she'd locked her door, how far we'd come since then, and I realized something. It wasn't just Maya who'd been trapped. I had too, by fear, by guilt, by the illusion that love means control. But love, I learned, means faith. Faith that even when they stray, they'll find their way home, not because you forced them, but because they remembered your voice. A few months later, Maya received a letter from Rachel. It wasn't long, just a few lines. You're not alone. You're braver than you think. Thank you for helping tell the truth. We're free now, all of us. Maya folded the letter carefully and smiled. She sounds strong. She is, I said. Just like you. One evening, as spring crept in, Maya surprised me. She came home with her hair tied up, wearing a crisp blouse. I got accepted, she said. For what? The art therapy program, remember? The one I used to talk about. For a moment, I couldn't speak. I just held her, proud and humbled, because survival is one thing, but choosing to grow again, to love again, takes a kind of courage no one can teach. Weeks later, she packed her sketchbooks and left for the small apartment near campus. We hugged at the door, long, wordless. As she drove away, I stood by the window, watching her tail lights fade down the street. And this time, I didn't feel fear, only peace. Every now and then, I take out that silver ring from the small box in my dresser. I hold it in my hand, cold against my palm, and remember everything it represents: pain, deception, awakening. But I don't hate it, because that ring, in a strange way, became our reminder that even the most beautiful lies lose their shine when they're exposed to the light. That night, I wrote something in my own journal, words I didn't plan, but ones that felt like closure. I can't protect her from every heartbreak, but I can teach her how to heal. And maybe that's what motherhood really means. Life moved forward gently. I went back to teaching part-time. Maya came home on weekends. We talked more openly, laughed more freely. Sometimes, I'd catch her sketching me, eyes soft, pencil strokes patient. Mom, she said one day, thank you for not giving up on me. I smiled. Never. You're my reason to keep believing that light always finds its way through. By the time summer arrived, the pain had become memory, not a wound, but a scar we'd learned to live with. And as I watched her walk into her new life, taller, wiser, unbroken, I realized something else. I used to think betrayal destroyed families, but sometimes it reveals what love is truly made of. Because love, real love, doesn't always come wrapped in trust. Sometimes it comes disguised as rescue and forgiveness. You know, when I look back now, I don't see that story as one of betrayal anymore. I see it as a story of awakening, for both of us. Because sometimes, life doesn't break you to punish you. It breaks you to open you, to show you who you really are when the pretending stops. There was a time I thought being a mother meant keeping her safe at all costs, shielding her from pain, guiding every choice, warning her of every danger I could see coming. But now I know, love isn't about building walls around someone you care for. It's about giving them the tools to climb over their own. When I saw my daughter fall apart, piece by piece, I thought I was watching her life end. But really, I was watching her begin again. And maybe that's what healing truly is, the quiet decision to try again. Even when the world has taken everything from you, I still remember that night, the one when she first told me the truth about Derek, the trembling voice, the tears that wouldn't stop, the silence between every sentence. I wanted to fix it all right then, call someone, shout, rage, but there was something sacred in just listening, because sometimes healing doesn't start with justice. It starts with being heard. That's something I wish more people understood. When your child, your friend, your sister comes to you with their pain, don't rush to patch it. Sit with it, hold it gently, even if it burns your hands, because pain only turns poisonous when it's left alone in the dark. I still keep that little box in my drawer, the one with the silver ring, not because I want to remember him, but because I want to remember her. The woman my daughter became because she refused to let one man define her. Every scar on her heart turned into a seed. And now, she's using those seeds to help others grow. Through her art, through her courage, through her story. And maybe that's the quiet redemption we never talk about. Not revenge, not payback, but purpose. You know, people often ask me now, Elaine, if you could go back and stop her from ever meeting him, would you? And the truth is, I don't know. Because yes, it broke her, but it also built her. And sometimes, pain is the language God uses to reintroduce us to ourselves. I tell this story now not because it's easy to remember, but because I know there's someone out there listening, maybe a mother, maybe a daughter, maybe you, who's standing at that same crossroad between silence and truth. Maybe you're afraid of what happens if you speak. Maybe you're afraid of what happens if you don't. But listen to me, darling. There's power in your story. There's freedom in your voice, even if it shakes. Even if no one believes you right away. Even if the truth makes everything fall apart first, sometimes it has too. So something stronger can take its place. Tonight, when I look at the porch light flickering outside, I think about all the nights I left it on for her, waiting, hoping, praying, and now, I keep it on for someone else. For you. In case you ever need to find your way back to yourself, because no matter how dark it gets, someone out there is still waiting to see your light return. My name is Elaine, and this was our story, about love, loss, and the kind of forgiveness that doesn't erase the past. It redeems it. Now tell me, sweetheart, if someone you loved was walking toward their own heartbreak, would you stop them? Or would you let them learn to save themselves?